Hey, this is Dallas Witt with Critical Hit Pest Management, and today I got a great video for you guys today. We're at a customer's house. We're going to be doing a termite install, and the cool thing about this install is that there's going to be multiple ways we have to treat this house. We're going to have to do some drilling, we're going to have to do some long rodding, trench and treating, and we're also going to have to do some bait station install. So it's going to be really cool to see that. I'm going to film the whole process from you from start to finish. Hopefully give you homeowners some tips and tricks on how to do this correctly. If you're trying to do this yourself, I don't recommend, always recommend hiring a professional, but I'm going to give some tips and tricks for the professionals. I'm going to give some tips and tricks for the homeowners out there. It's going to be a great video. So throughout this video, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please comment down below. That way I can respond to those and give you guys some good information. Follow some of my other videos that you may see out there, and also don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to me, and hopefully I can provide you guys more videos over time that are full of information and some really cool things that, you know, I do out in the field, not just termite related, but anything and everything related in the pest control industry. So I appreciate your views, I appreciate your attention to the video, and let's get this thing started and rocking and rolling today. Alright, so I want to talk about the first step in the process, and that is mixing the product that you're going to utilize. Today we're going to be using Termitor SC. Been using this product since the early 2000s when it originally came out, and it's a fantastic termiticide. It has some great results. It's the best termiticide on the market, hands down. There's no competitor as far as liquid termiticides are concerned. The other thing is, I'm not sponsored by BASF. They're the creators of the product. I'm not sponsored by BASF. I just want to throw that out there. This is just my personal opinion over the 20 years of being in the pest control industry. I think if you ask any pest control professional that does a lot of termite work and, you know, has just been in the industry for a while, that they'll tell you the same thing, that Termitor is the top bar as far as termiticides are concerned. So Termitor SC, it's the original Termitor. There's also another product called Termitor HE, which is a fantastic product. The HE stands for high efficiency, and it allows you to cut down on the amount of liquid that you're applying around the house. So with Termitor SC, when you mix up the product, you're going to be mixing up 0.78 ounces per 1 gallon of water. Termitor HE allows you to apply 2 gallons of product once it's mixed up, 2 gallons of product over 10 linear feet. And the Termitor SC that I'm using today, same concept, except it's 4 gallons of product mixed solution over 10 linear feet. So you're able to cut down the amount of actual dilution and water application over the 10 linear feet with HE versus the SC, and that's the only difference. One other quite difference, I think HE has a little proprietary blend to where it's supposed to penetrate and disperse throughout the soil a little bit better, but for all intents and purposes, for this application, Termitor SC is going to be above and beyond what we need to do. It's going to be a fantastic product to use, and I'll show you how to use that here in a minute. But the number one thing, first thing, you got to mix this product up. So how do we mix it? Well, it's like, again, like I said, we're going to use a 0.06% of fipronil. Okay, fipronil is the active ingredient in Termitor SC. We're going to be using the 0.06% rate. Okay, so you can use higher rates and lower rates depending on what kind of termite you're dealing with. In Oklahoma, in the termites that I'm dealing with today, we're dealing with eastern subterranean termites, and that's going to either be Reticulotermes flavipes or Reticulotermes virginicus. Those are the two species of termites that we have primarily here in Oklahoma. We don't have Formosan termites yet. Hopefully we don't get those, but they are making their way from the southeast, Florida, New Orleans to Texas, and they're coming up. They'll eventually get here one day. But we're going to be using this product for that termite, the eastern subterranean termite, and it's going to work great. But we're going to use the 0.06 percentage. We're going to mix that 0.78 ounces per 1 gallon of water. So I have a 60 gallon tank here. 60 times 0.78 gives you 49.8 ounces. So I have to mix up 49.8 ounces to this 60 gallons of water. Make it mix up, you know, let the solution dilute throughout, and then we'll be able to apply the product. So I'll show you that step next. Right, again, when you're mixing up any kind of product, this is the most volatile time. Accidents can happen. Make sure you're wearing your gloves. Make sure you're in full PPE. You always want to protect yourself when you're mixing this stuff up. It's not about the acute exposure, it's about the chronic exposure over long term that can really have some adverse effects to your health. Number one, you gotta take the product, you gotta mix it up really well. You just want to give a good mixture of it before you do anything. Next, what you're going to do, you're going to pour the product into a measuring container. All right, so I got my measuring container. I said 48.8 ounces, 49.8 ounces, so 48 is right here, so we're gonna fill it up just a little bit over. And again, please be careful when you're doing this process. Make a nice little opening there. And you're gonna take the product and you're gonna pour it in. Be very careful with this. Keep your hands and your eyes and your face as far away from it as you possibly can. It can splash back and you don't want to get that on your face or your body or anything. And we're at the 48 ounces area, the marker that we need. Next thing, always make sure to cap the container off. That way it's done, you don't have to worry about spilling that. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take the 48 ounces of product right there. We're going to pour that into the container. Okay. Right here, we have my tank. Again, like I said, it's a 60 ounce tank. I've already added the water into it. What we're going to do, we're going to pour the Termitor into the tank. I have the Termitor here. We're going to pour it gently into the tank. Again, stand back, wear your protective equipment. That way you don't get any splashback. I'm just going to gingerly pour it in there. And I like to let the bottle just sit there and rest to let all the distillate, the product just, dissolve and drop in there. So we'll let that set for a minute. Once we get that all done and it's in there, then we're going to start the tank and let that mix up. I have a bypass in this tank, so it's going to mix from the bottom. It's going to pull the product through, pull the water through, and it's going to mix it up over 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to let that set for a while, and I'm going to work on some other things while that's happening. Okay, so while the product is mixing up, the next thing I have to do is trench this exterior wall. And the reason why we're trenching, well, termites were found inside of this wall behind me. Okay, and what's going on is that they're coming through the soil, they're finding their way up through the slab, and they've made their way into this wall. They're actually consuming up into here on this side of the interior wall. So we're going to trench the exterior wall here, make a nice 6" by 6" trench, and then we're going to do a process that's called trenching and treating. Now, I have seen a lot of videos where the homeowner is saying, hey, this is super easy to do as far as termite work is concerned. Let's take some termiticide, let's mix it up into a bucket, let's spin it around, let's make a trench, and let's pour the bucket into the soil. Pour the water and the solution into the soil, and that's going to take care of the termites. Problem is, you're probably not getting the application that you want to get. You could possibly be misapplying the product, over applying, under applying, and you're not able to trench and treat and rod correctly. The rod, when I long rod, you'll see that process here in a little bit, is extremely important to making sure that termiticide is placed below and around the stem wall where the axis of the termites are finding their way in. You're not able to get that product down beneath that stem wall and around that stem wall if you're not long rodding and putting a rod down into the soil. So I'll show you that process. I'm going to go ahead and trench it right now, show you how I do that, and then we're going to do the trench and treat application. So here we go. We're going to do the most fun part of the job, I guess you could say. see, here is the trench. It goes all the way down. And it's a nice, wide, deep trench. A lot of times, the brick, as you can see here, this is how they get into your house. The brick is actually below the grade of the soil, so it gives an easy access for termites to get into. But what we're going to try to do is get even further below that with the long rod, the trenching rod. We're going to push through that. We're going to fill it up. And again, this whole wall is 20 feet in length. So we're going to use 8 gallons of termiticide for this whole wall. We'll show you that here in a second. Okay, this here is the long rod. This is the device that is going to allow us to go below the soil, get close to that stem wall, and apply the termiticide. What's cool about this device is that the tips here, it's a 360-degree application tip, meaning that liquid is going to come out of each one of these holes and disperse underneath the soil to apply the product, the termiticide, in a 360-degree fashion. So it's going to give us really good coverage over each application that we place in each little hole. We have to apply the 4 gallons over 10 linear feet. So again, this is 20 linear feet, so we're using 8 gallons of product, right? Every 10 linear feet, 4 gallons has to go in. So we have to understand how long to apply this into the soil. How long do we inject termiticide for every hole over the course of 10 linear feet? And we have to do some math to figure that out. So what we'll do to figure out that calculation and figure out the rate of how long we actually apply this product into the soil, we're going to take this measuring device. This is 64 ounces, so it's half a gallon, 128 ounces in a gallon. We're going to take the rod, we're going to put it in here, and we're going to inject termiticide into here and fill this up to 64 ounces, and we're going to time how long that takes. So let's just say this takes 20 seconds to fill up to half a gallon, right? We'll multiply that by 2, and we would understand that every 40 seconds out of this tip, we are going 1 gallon, okay? Every 40 seconds out of the tip, we are doing 1 gallon. We have to place 4 gallons over 10 linear feet. So 40 times 4 is 160, okay? So it's 160 seconds that we have to apply 4 gallons over 10 linear feet. We take 160, we divide that by 10, and we get 16. So every foot that we apply over the 10 feet, there's going to be 10 application zones. We need to make sure that we are holding this tip inside the ground for at least 16 seconds to inject that termiticide. And that's how you figure out your calculation rate. That is why it's extremely important to understand calculation rates, mixture rates, dilution rates, all that, because you can mess up the math pretty quick when it comes to mixing up the products, applying the product over the course of, you know, the linear footage that you're trying to cover. And you always have to calibrate this stuff. I mean, every time I come out here, I have to calibrate and make sure that it's correct. Sometimes it's going to be 16 seconds, sometimes it's 20 seconds, sometimes it's 25 seconds, sometimes it's even 30 seconds. It just depends on the equipment and the pressure that I have it set at that point in time. Now, you do want to be reasonable here. You don't want to like try to put one hole every 2 seconds. Like, that's way too quick. That's way too much pressure. In fact, Oklahoma state law requires us to do about 25 psi, 30 psi at the nozzle tip, right? That's the max. So it's pretty low pressure, all things considered, which is going to actually increase the amount of time it takes to apply that product in the hole. And we'll show you that next. Okay, so I did the math on the equation for the application for each spot that I put the long rod in. It's going to be 25 seconds was half a gallon, so it's 50 seconds for every gallon that I'm placing out. So 50 times 4 is going to be 200, divided by 10, so it's going to be 20 seconds. So I'm going to apply the long rod every 20 seconds into the soil and move another foot, 20 seconds, move another foot, 20 seconds. And you're going to see that the liquid's going to expand, it's going to come up, it's going to flood out that trench. It's going to also penetrate down beneath the stem wall, and then we're going to cover that trench back up, and we're going to do a top application just to put a band-aid on it and be done with it. I'll show you that right now. We're going to take the long rod, we're going to push it down into the soil until I fill that little stem wall, And then we're going to apply the product for 20 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $18, $19, $20. We're gonna move over a foot. We're gonna push it down. Try to get it underneath that stem wall. Hit that stem wall. We're gonna apply for another 20 seconds. 1. There's 20. And we're gonna do that process the entire way, all the way across. I'll put a time lapse on it, make it quicker, but I'll show you the whole process right now. Yeah. I want to show you, this is a prime example. Look how far this is going down this long rod. Okay, there's the tip. You can see it. We're going to place it down and you're going to hear it hit something. You hear that? That's that stem wall that I'm talking about. So if you don't trench and get down to that stem wall, I mean, look how far. That is another 6 inches or so, 4 to 5, 6 inches or so beneath where I've trenched. And I'm placing that rod against that stem wall to get that insecticide or the termiticide in there. That's why you have to do this. That's why you just can't make a trench and then fill a bucket full of termiticide and throw it in here. It doesn't work that way. You got to get this long rod down in there. You got to get this trench and treat tool down in there to that stem wall to make sure you're applying the product down below. Okay, I have applied the termiticide. You can see it settling down in that trench. Got a great application. This is even a better shot over here. You can really see the termiticide sitting there. That's what it's supposed to look like all the way down that wall. So it's sitting there, it's absorbing into the soil, it's penetrating the soil, and it's going to start killing the termites here in a second, or over some time, pretty quick. Termidor is a non-repellent, so they don't realize that it's in the ground, and then they walk and they tunnel through the soil. They pick the termiticide up, they take it back to the colony, they start killing off the colony as a whole. Really cool way that it works. It actually kills the protozoa in the hindgut, which is the bacteria that's in the hindgut of the termite, which allows it to break down cellulose product. So we really kill the protozoa. We really don't kill termites. We really kill the protozoa. They're not able to digest the cellulose. They basically become compacted because they're just not able to digest, and then they just die. So that's kind of how it works. Pretty cool. But like a little Trojan horse, man, these guys will pick it up, take it back to the colony, start spreading throughout because it's a non-repellent. They'll start taking them out one by one. The next thing we do, we just basically fill the trench back up, put the soil on it, cover it up, push it back on top, like so. We'll do that all the way down each side, and then we will go back and do a topical application to this, kind of to button it up and be done. So I wanted to show you the actual active termites. This was inside the garage underneath this piece of wood. And this is why we don't want to have wood to ground contact, because it creates opportunities for termites. But you can see them here. There they go. They're crawling in and out of their mud tube, and this is how they gained access into this gentleman's house. Going right through this mud tube, they came up to the wall, they came right through there, they came right through there, and then they went behind. They came up into the wall here, and they went behind here, and now they're going up inside that. So This is what they look like, though. Let's see if we can get a better shot and better opportunity. Let's pull this stuff out here and really take a look. I mean, look at this. This is some great footage. Fantastic footage. You can see them right there. Look at those termites just going. So this is called a mud tube or a shelter tube, and they have to have this to stay connected to the soil. Termites love moisture, and so this actually allows them to stay connected to the soil and the ground below, because you gotta remember they're subterranean termites for a reason. They are blind, and they create these mud tubes to keep them sheltered so they can come out of the soil and start consuming the wood. Now they've consumed this wood paneling. See, this mud tube's right there, it's connected. But that mud tube, until I just broke it, is completely connected to the soil. They are allowed to basically control the humidity temperatures inside and the temperature overall inside those mud tubes to keep them alive. They do not survive very long outside. So this whole thing will go back into the slab, it will go into the soil, and will keep them connected. Look at this little guy. That's what a termite looks like. That is a soldier. I'm sorry, that is a worker, not a soldier. That is a worker. Soldiers have really sharp front mandibles. But this is a worker. And the workers are designed and tasked to finding all the wood and bring it back to the colony. It's a caste system. Termites are a caste system. You have queen, soldiers, workers, and alates. And these guys are just consuming the wood, bringing it back to the colony, feeding it to the soldiers, feeding it to the brood, feeding it to the queen. And that's how they operate. And the queen says go do it, and they go do it. And then the soldiers just protect them against ants and other little critters. Here's a whole bunch more. You can see them. You can see them here. Look at that. See? They're just finding their way. There's little ones, there's bigger ones. Those smaller ones are newborn. The bigger ones are obviously more adult. And they just go to town. So this is some great footage here. You can actually see the worker right there picking up the small ones. They're protecting them. Because I disrupted the tube. They're actually taking them back. See, they're protecting them. They're putting them back inside to protect them. That is some awesome footage. I don't get to see this very often like this. Look at that guy. He's got him in his mouth. And he's protecting them. Watch, he's going to pick them up. They're going to pick this little one up, protect him, and take him back because they know something's going on. Look at that. There he goes. Picking him up. And they're going to take him back. This is so cool. And look at all that activity. I really hope some soldiers come out. A lot of times when you crack open these tubes, the oxygen and everything goes into the mud tube, and the soldiers come out to try to help protect and protect the colony because they think they're under attack. But they're emitting a bunch of pheromones right now, and they're saying, hey, something's coming to get us. We're getting attacked. We need to get some protection here. So this is some great footage. Some great footage here. Really cool. If I find some soldiers, I'll show you here in a little bit. So here's what originally caught my eye when I was doing the inspection or the service on this gentleman's house. All these swarmers were coming out. I posted that in my last video. They came out and they actually made it all the way up to here, consuming the wood up to there, back there. So this is a really active colony. But they come out, they look for another place to create another colony and expand the colony and whatnot. But look at all these little nymphs, as we call them, the small ones, the super small ones. So those have just been hatched. I mean, the queen, one of the alates turned into a queen and started reproducing. And those are the small, that's the brood, that's the small brood. You can definitely tell the difference in size from the larger termites to the smaller ones. There's a small one, and here's a larger one right there, actually carrying one of the small ones. You can see it going back inside. So really cool stuff. I really hope some soldiers come out. That'd be fantastic to see. Really distinct, different size, and a heck of a lot larger, and the mandibles are just wild. This was a piece of trim board that was laying over there, right over there against the wall. Look how much damage those termites have done to this trim board. Just demolished it. Think about this being a 2x4 in your house, supporting the roof and everything else. Yeah, not the best. That's why they're so destructive. I mean, they cause $4 to $5 billion of damage per year. I mean, it's just absolutely insane the amount of damage they can cause. You know, just those little termites. You know, hundreds of them, hundreds of thousands, millions of them under the ground consuming. So, really cool to see. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm actually going to drill this wall all the way across and apply the termiticide into the slab. We're also going to drill across the front here. And the reason why I have to drill across the front of this garage is because when I go to put the bait stations in the ground, the distance between here and over there is greater than 30 feet. So I want to make sure that we get a good barrier and preventative barrier place around the home. But we're going to drill this next. All of this, drill this entire wall here, inject the termiticide. It's the same thing. I'm going to drill one hole every 1 foot, and then I'm going to apply the product. We're actually going to use a sub-slab injector this time, which has a little booty. It's a little smaller. It sits into the ground, has a little booty that expands, a rubber booty that expands and makes a compressed seal, so I can inject the termiticide below the slab. It's a really cool process, and I'll show you that next. I'm gonna start the drilling process, then we'll start the application process. Boy, the more and more I dig in here, the more and more I see. It's just crazy. This wall is completely consumed. Look at them following the mud tube again. I broke that open. They're following it. They're going inside, up into there to get behind that wall. So again, we're drilling this entire wall. There's the drill, drilling back down that direction, drilling this entire wall to stop these guys from gaining access. But absolutely wild. Look at that small brood again. So that guy, well, this one right here, oh, where'd it go? If you look at that one right there in the middle, he's like brown in color in the back. That's because he has wood in his hind gut. And I think, yeah, see how they're brown in color? Some are brown and some are not. That's because they actually have wood or mud inside that hind gut. One or the other. And they use the wood, they use the mud to obviously make the mud tubing. They regurgitate it and pack it back in there. But crazy, huh? Got everything drilled. I went back and cleaned this up too for the customer. Also went back and scraped the mud tubes. Got to scrape those down a little bit further, but scraped them all down. And as you can see, there are several areas on this wall. A reason why I scraped them down is so next year when I'm out here doing an inspection, I'll know if there's any new mud tubes because I removed all these. So it'll be a good indicator, real quick indicator if there's any more activity in here. Next part, I got all that drilled, and then I'm going to come over here and drill this interior part here. For the simple fact that those stations are going to be too far apart. I'll show you that process next. One other quick thing for you professionals out there, termite pest control professionals, always make sure when you're doing the drilling, drill on the interior of the garage door. When this door shuts, it's gonna cover up these drill holes. I've seen guys drill on the outside of the garage door, and you just see these drill holes all the way across the front of the garage. So if you can, drill on the inside. Drill right where that garage door is going to shut and close. And you can see a shut line. So that's what I did. Put those drill holes right where the garage is going to shut. You're not even going to see them from outside. Okay, now that we have all the drill holes applied, interior of the garage, exterior of the garage, and going around, now we're going to do the sub-slab injection using my favorite tool, the sub-slab injector. Here it is. Again, it has that little rubber booty on there, and when you apply the pressure from the top, you lock this mechanism in place, and it will expand that rubber booty and create a seal, and then we're able to inject this termiticide below the slab. It's going to be the same application rate. It's going to be, 4 gallons of termiticide for every 10 linear feet. So we're going to need to inject that 20 seconds per hole across this entire area. And that's going to give us that barrier. It's also going to stop the termites from coming up in this interior wall, as we talked about. I don't have to drill the outside of that wall. I don't have to drill the interior of the wall. I'm actually just going to drill that slab like I did, inject the termiticide right then and there. And that's going to help us knock them out, because it's going to put the termiticide right into the colony, right where they're coming up at, right where they're interacting at. So they're gonna be toast. And as you could see from the previous videos, man, these things are real active. So let's get that started and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so what we have here, sub-slab injector. Right here is the part that we apply down, put the pressure on it, and we can lock it in place. And what that'll do, that'll take this booty and expand it. And you can see it right there. It expands, creates that seal, and we're able to inject the termiticide. Place it in the hole, lock it in place, and start injecting. After we get it placed in that hole, we just pull it out. Go to the next hole, do it all the way down. 20 seconds each. You may be wondering why I was able to walk away from it when I was applying. There's a little trigger. The little trigger has a bolt right here that locks it into place, and so you don't have to hold it, which makes it really nice. All right, next step. After we get all these done, I'm gonna finish up this, fill all these holes up, inject them, do the sub-slab injector there, and then we're gonna go back and we're going to patch the holes. We're going to go back and put a stopper in there, and then we're going to patch them up, and then we'll be done with this process and we'll move on to the bait station installation. All right, got everything drilled and treated with the sub-slab injector, as you saw. I've already placed out the trailer and exterior bait stations for the termites around the home. Again, we place those one every 10 to 15 foot around the house. And the reason why we had to drill, again, this concrete right here is due to the fact that there's a station here behind this bush, and then the next station would be right over here on the other side of the truck, right up here in this grass. So, you know, walking that distance, measuring that distance, it's greater than 30 feet. So you do have to have some kind of preventative treatment between here and there, and that's why I drilled the garage here and across over there. Okay, so that is going to give us the full coverage around this home. We also drilled and treated the active area. Now we're going to place the stations around. If you've seen my other video, if you don't know what I'm talking about with the trailer and base stations, please go look at my other video. It's a great tutorial and talks about the trailer and base stations themselves. So go check that out. I'll link that. You can watch that one as well, and then you can see how that's done. We'll do that process. We'll install the stations. That's the easiest part of this whole thing today. And then finalize this service. We're going to go back and patch these holes and mortar them in, do some paperwork, and we're good to go. And on to the next one. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do, we're going to plug these holes. We're going to patch them with mortar mix. We're pretty much done. Already got the Trailona exterior bait stations installed. Placed those all the way around the home. Everything has been treated. Everything is set. So we're just going to patch the holes. That's the last process. Do some paperwork, and then have the customer sign off, and we're good to go. So pretty intense job today. It changed a little bit. My original plan was to drill the exterior brick, but seeing the activity and the amount of activity we had today, we really needed to make sure that we got the the application right where they were coming up inside of the home. So I was able to get that done, which is great. I don't see a lot of movement at all right now, which is good. So I know that they're wallowing in the product. And over time, they're gonna go bye-bye. They're gonna die. And then we got the exterior bait stations around the rest of the house to protect and make sure. And we'll come back next year, take a look at it, do a full inspection of the home, and see if there's any issues. So let's get to the part, patching, plugging, or plugging and patching. We'll call this video a wrap. So simply put, we have a little plug. It's a little foam plug, which works great. And they just slide right inside these little holes, the drill holes. And it's set snug there. And then you grab a little bit of mortar mix. Put a little bit of mortar mix in there. And patch up that hole. And you do that all the way across. And then this will seal up and protect, from moisture and water going back in there, and plugs it up. But you want to make this look good. Do the best you possibly can, make it look nice and tight for the customer. Don't make it, I've seen in guys where they just stuff's everywhere. Like, make it look good when you're doing this. That's basically it. That's the video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them down below. Again, this is kind of a quick process video. I've been out here all day. This has taken me a good 6 hours, 7 hours to do it. Well, let's see. I got here at 9:30, so it is 3 o'clock now. So there you go. And I got another one to do after this. It won't be so intensive. But this is what it takes. You got to do the job. You got to do it right. You want to make sure that the customer's taken care of. So that's what we're gonna do. Comment down below, like, subscribe, and we will catch you guys on the next video. Thank you.